Hello, I'm Shannon Harris. Thanks for tuning in to Window in Wilmington. On today's show, we'll check in with the Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence. We will also have details for you about dental options for patients who have special needs or intellectual disabilities. We'll also get the details on the Delaware Fund for Women's Grant and Awards Program, and we'll hear from Delta Sigma Theta's Holistic Health and Wellness Empowerment Summit for Girls and Women. But first, the Delaware Nature Society, Partnership for the Delaware Estuary and Center for the Inland Bays, will lead efforts to educate outdoor enthusiasts about the importance of investing in programs that will remove toxins from Delaware's waterways. And it also improves the drinking water and protects the parks, open spaces, farms, and wetlands. Yay! And Brenna Goggin is here to talk to us about it. And gosh, Brenna, that's a super long open.
It is. But it's very inspirational, isn't it?
Yay! Yes. I feel like I want to remove the toxins.
Yes, we are.
Yay, everybody say remove the toxins.
Remove the toxins.
Yeah, see, they said it too. Yay. Yeah. Some team, right?
Yeah.
So, Brenna, look, talk to us about the Clean Water Campaign, because this is a whole campaign.
It is. It's a 9-month campaign that you mentioned, the Delaware Nature Society and our partners, the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary and the Center for the Inland Bays, are conducting. It's a 9-month outreach campaign focused on building support for dedicated funding for clean water. And so we're reaching out to as many people as possible, whether you love to garden in your backyard, whether you love to garden in your community garden, or you love watching your children or your grandchildren play in the Brandywine.
Right.
We want to reach out to you and tell you, hey, we know that there's a problem with our water quality, but working together, we can be part of that solution.
Right.
And that's what we're looking for.
So let me ask you something without putting anybody out there, Brenna. Where did I guess the problem basically came from the plants?
Well, we have several problems. So especially in this area, we do have...
And I mean manufacturing plants.
Right. Not plants like your tomato plants in your backyard. But yes, we did have a lot of industry in this area. And prior to the late 80s and the early 90s, that industry was unregulated. And so they were dumping things into the soil and they were dumping things into the water. And we didn't necessarily know better then. And we were still trying to figure out what does what to who and where. And so there is this legacy contamination that we have to clean up. But in this state, we've also experienced a population growth. Population both from businesses, but residents as well. And so we all kind of contribute. Our driveway that used to be woods, or it used to be a farm field, or just a regular field, that field used to be able to absorb that water. Well, now that we have a driveway or a house, that water is running off. And instead of, you'll see the drains that have, don't dump anything down the drain.
Exactly.
Those drains pour right into our streams and our creeks. They're not treated. And so all that you put on your property, whether it's, you're putting the oil from your car and a couple of drops go on the driveway, fertilizers or pesticides to have a green lawn or to kill the bugs, when it rains, that runs off and it goes right into our local waterways. So we've all been part of that problem.
So I guess I want to know, and I don't know if you guys can even answer this yet, or you probably can. How bad is the problem? Like, is there a way to gauge how much cleanup needs to be done?
There is. There are federal guidelines that tell us how waterways should be and what type of balances there should be, both it's chemical, very long acronyms. But there are criteria that our waterways must meet, both from a federal side and a state side. But very simply, people gauge their waterway on their ability to swim in it, the ability to fish in it, and the ability to drink it. And so those are the three main criteria. And we know that over 90% of our waterways don't meet that criteria.
So let me ask you something. If I'm fishing on the Brandywine or the Christina, I better not eat that fish or I'll be glowing.
Well, you won't be glowing. You won't
he
be
eats
glowing.
It all the time, he said. He said, what? He fishes out of there every day.
So at certain parts of the waterways, and in the Brandywine specifically, if you're walking along the Brandywine Creek in the park, you will see these signs with the fish with the red line going through it. It means that there are guidelines and that perhaps people that are most vulnerable, so the elderly, women who are pregnant, young kids, don't have the ability to break down some of what might be found in that fish in the best way for them. And so there are criteria and guidelines of how many fish you should eat, or what types of fish that you should eat, because some are more vulnerable to having those things like mercury in them than others. And so you want to pay attention to those guidelines. But you touched on an important point. There are people in this city that depend on those fish. That's a food source for them. Yeah. We want to make sure that what they're consuming is safe and that it's not going to have any kind of harmful impacts. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have enough money to clean up what we have polluted.
So now let's talk about that, the money.
Yes.
How's that going to, well, and I guess residents need to be proactive.
Yes.
And then the big thing is funding.
Funding is the major problem. And so we have spent a lot of time and a lot of money over the past 30 years trying to address these water quality problems. But as you know, just as soon as you fix something, something else is broken. Yeah. As we all know in homes, you fix the washer, the refrigerator breaks.
Yeah.
It's the same way, except that instead of a $5,000 to $6,000 problem, it's a multi-million-dollar problem. And our local governments aren't equipped to deal with that kind of problem. And so while there are federal sources of money and there are state sources of money, as we've all heard, those sources of money are decreasing, or they're becoming more competitive. More and more states are competing for the same pot of money. Right. And so we have to raise the money in-house so that money can then be used as collateral, so to speak, for local governments and municipalities to borrow against.
Right.
So instead of coming to you and saying, hey, we're going to raise taxes, or we're going to do this to get that collateral, like the city of Wilmington would have to do in order to borrow money at a bank, the money would already be there. How would it be there? Well, it would go a little bit on your property taxes. We were talking about the property taxes that are federally deductible, so you'd get the money back, but for $45 a year, or $3.75 a month, so less than what you would spend at Starbucks or your local coffee house, that money would go into a pot. So places like the city of Wilmington, the city of Newark, the city of Dover, they could come to the state and go, we need to update our wastewater treatment facility. We've had a water main break downtown. These issues need to be fixed. The Brandywine River, that's a drinking water source for the city of Wilmington, we've got to clean it up. We've got to make sure that as it's going into our water treatment facilities, that water's clean. We've got to remove the toxics and the chemicals. Right. So all of that money would go towards those types of projects.
Let me ask you something, Brenna. I don't want anybody to get mad at me. Can we make the people that did this, or can they contribute a little bit here?
Yes, so residents wouldn't be the only ones paying it. Commercial would also pay it. It would also go on their property taxes, and they would be at a higher rate. And yes, to the best of our ability, the state has done a tremendous job of trying to find those that have polluted. And we have, through regulations, updated it so that and closed some loopholes that industry had, so that if they declared bankruptcy, they were like, not my problem.
Right.
That loophole has been fixed.
Yay.
And so going forward, we won't have that problem. But what about those that polluted in the 70s and the 80s and then went out of business? And there's no way to track them down. But in order to make them viable for new businesses and new employment opportunities in this state, businesses want to know that they're not going to be responsible for that pollution and contamination when they come in. They want it cleaned up before they get there, and that's as it should be.
Yay, Brenna. Listen, I'm fist pumping for you guys all the way.
Thank you. So there are great opportunities for people to participate.
Oh, he said this is a fist pump.
Oh, this is a fist pump.
No, what is this? This is from what's it?
Yeah,
I was thinking Jersey Shore. I don't know.
Whoa.
You know what, Brenna? I'm not even going to listen to him. But you'll have to come back. But in the meantime...
In the meantime, people can go onto our Clean Water Delaware website. They can sign our pledge that says, yes, I support dedicated funding for clean water. They can attend our rally. That will be June 2nd on the Dover Green. There will be carpooling options from Newcastle County that will take them down to Dover. It's free. We'll have food trucks. We'll have T-shirts. And it's really just an opportunity for people to celebrate clean water.
Should they contact their legislator, their council
absolutely
people,
should contact their legislators, because as people have probably heard, we have some economic issues facing our state right now. And so clean water tends to go down on the list of priorities. But as a public, we need clean water. We need it for food. We need it for our health. We need it for our children. We need it for our pets. And so they need to, our elected officials need to hear, hey, this is a priority for me. Water is important to me.
I'm there with you, Brenna. And Brenna's going to come back here and talk to us about it. And when you come back, we'll see some of the beautiful waterways that we are working to clean up.
Yes, we will.
People, get on that phone, call Brenna, visit that website, do everything.
Yes. Thank you, Shannon.
It was great having you.
It was great being here. Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see you again.
Yes.
All right. Next up, the Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence when we return.
Introducing a new day of the week, someday. Now, everything you were going to do someday is on the calendar. Want to retire someday? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits and manage current benefits online. Millions of people have a My Social Security account. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
Today, school kids rely on the internet for so many things: homework, math, research. But what about kids who don't have internet at home? Hello, I'm Theo Gregory, Wilmington City Council President. The internet is essential, as many as 80% of low-income families do not have access at home, including many right here in Wilmington. So help bridge this gap by supporting local broadband adoption programs. Let's get more students and families connected to the power of the internet.
Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence is a statewide nonprofit coalition of agencies and individuals working to stop domestic violence in Delaware. Mariann Kenville-Moore and Clytia Royster join me now to talk about the great things going on at Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence, or DCAV. ADV. Right? So Mariann, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having us on.
I'm glad you could be here. So now, look, what is going on? You guys are doing a lot of things.
We are.
Domestic violence is always an important issue that we need to discuss. Like to keep that in the forefront of things because it happens all the time. Sad to say.
It does. It is very sad to say, and we continue to see in our state women and children and men being affected on a daily basis by the impact of domestic violence. So it's so good to have Clytia here with us as well from the YWCA program, because they are in the community doing those services. But we at the Coalition, we have been working very closely with our healthcare community and with our state policymakers and legislators. It's been a really busy session already this year.
Right, good.
Lots of positive energy and innovative ways of thinking about ways we can support women and children and survivors of intimate partner violence. And one of those areas that we've been focusing on a great deal is around the issues of economic empowerment and economic justice.
Let me ask you, because I think I know the answer as to why that is so important for a person coming out of a domestic violence situation. But I do want you to tell people why that is extremely important for these people to feel empowered, because it's almost like you need to be able to move on in every way that you can.
And one of the things that we have found, and it's not just here in Delaware, it's nationally, is that economics is one of the biggest barriers for people leaving and starting over. A recent survey of survivors, and we saw it again repeated here locally, was that over 99% of women in relationships where there was violence also experienced economic abuse, where they either were prohibited from seeking out opportunities where they could gain resource, either getting a job or maintaining a job, or they had interference with their resources. They were denied access to their own paychecks. I heard a story last week about a physician who shared with one of her colleagues that her partner took her paycheck and controlled her paycheck. She had no access to the bank accounts, no way of paying bills or knowing how much money or resources they had.
Wow.
Or we hear of stories where people have their economic stability in the future ruined, where someone has taken out credit and ruined their credit, have emptied bank accounts, not paid bills that needed to be paid, and so it has a real impact on people. We know that when women are considering leaving, that one of the things that causes them to return, oftentimes people ask, why did they stay? Or why did they return, is that they don't have the financial ability to do it on their own.
Right.
And I know that Clytia speaks and talks with women every day about those same situations.
Wow. And that is crazy. But I hear you. I understand. Clytia, what are these ladies saying to you when they come to you?
A lot of times we have women that are seeking services for domestic violence, and then we do a screening. So in this screening, we do find that they have been affected financially. And fortunately, we have the ability to do credit checks and assist them with building their credit and that sort of thing. So they are able to take a few steps towards, financial empowerment. And fortunately, with the assistance of the All-State Grant, we've been able to assist even further with really getting the information out there to women to understand how their finances have been affected, how their credit have been impaired, how they can work towards fixing it, how they can, put themselves in a better position over time. Of course, everything's not an easy fix, but at least they can get the information and are empowered by the information. Having that knowledge is very important, and then figuring out how to help themselves going forward.
Wow. And you know something, I think, ladies, I think it's important that we say, because I think when most people think about domestic violence, they tend to think of the physical, you see the bruises, but it's emotional, it's mental. I mean, and you know what, the financial thing, that is all is mixed in there.
Well, especially in our communities, in our society, not having financial resources or security jeopardizes your ability to eat and live and be productive in our communities. So if there's that instability with housing and employment, it has that trickle-down effect, and it affects not only the individual, but the children and others as well.
And it's amazing. I think that, the stereotypical view of a person in domestic violence will probably be, middle to low income. Right. This was a physician.
And that's why, we often talk about how when we use the statistic, 1 in 4 women will experience some type of abuse in their lifetime from an intimate partner. We are looking at that broader definition, but we also are looking at that broader community. It isn't limited to one socioeconomic group or one ethnic group or one area of our community. It's everywhere. And so oftentimes people think of domestic violence as being that physical piece. When we see that this economic control and coercive behavior that individuals have interfering with being able to maintain a job, frequently calling at work, harassing somebody, disabling their vehicle, those are acts of violence in their own way. Because if you're interfering and denying me my financial stability, then you're interfering with my safety as well.
Yeah. Clytia, how do ladies come to see you now? Do we have to go through Mariann to come to you, or do we just come to the Y?
Actually, individuals can call directly to the YWCA and speak to me directly, and they can ask questions about what they should do, or I actually do an outreach that I do in the community currently at EDSI and Career Team, And I'm able to meet with a lot of women that way to speak to them about domestic violence so that they have the awareness to understand that they could be affected financially. A lot of women don't even understand that because, like you said, the correlation is that it's physical. Generally, when you think of domestic violence or intimate partner violence, you think of it physical, possibly sexual. But a lot of women don't realize how this financial piece then affects them so much longer. That withholding funds or limiting their ability to work or not allowing them to go out into the community to find resources or jeopardizing the resources that they currently have. That affects them long term. And so even if after the abuse is over, after the relationship has ended and possibly they have moved on, the effects of that financial piece is still affecting them. So I do share that with women in the community, and so that they can have that understanding, so that they can have these red flags. That's what I call them, red flags beforehand, possibly finding out that they're in a relationship and something doesn't seem right, or this person is now controlling their finances or limiting what they can spend or giving them an allowance out of their own money, and or forcing them to spend money on them. And so I share with them, okay, if you start feeling like that or you start seeing these things, that's possibly a red flag. And you want to consider, maybe this is not the relationship for me.
Keep sharing. My God.
And the piece, you know, it's not just the financial piece, because that has significant implications. But again, when women are considering ending that relationship and leaving, that financial abuse might then trigger physical violence at that separation period, which is so important then to get connected to services and resources. And so I know that we'll be sharing the hotline information later on and the Y information. But it's also why the Allstate Foundation a number of years ago saw economic empowerment and literacy as one of those cornerstones of really supporting individuals and being able to leave and live happy lives.
Wow. Well, ladies, I'm going to tell you, thank you so much for joining us. You have to come back again and talk to us more about the great programs. And thank you for offering such great programs to people who are going through this. We need that.
It's been great to talk with you today, Shannon. Thank you so much for having us.
Looking forward to it again, Mariann.
Okay.
And thank you
for having me.
We'll be back with dental care options for patients with disabilities when we return.
We are your Wilmington City Council, and we're also your neighbors. We're asking you to let us know about your community events, achievements, concerns, and issues.
That's why we created a special email address that will connect you to all of us in City Council.
Drop us an email about things going on in your neighborhood with Community Events 22 at wilmingtonde.gov. That's Community Events 22 at wilmingtonde.gov.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but things changed. Teaching didn't seem that cool anymore. So you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Amazing things are happening in teaching, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Research indicates that disabled people, including those with developmental disabilities, experience more disease and are less likely to have access to professional dental services than people without disabilities. But that doesn't have to be the case. Dr. Andrew, you know what, Andrew, your last name is going to drive me. Dr. Andrew, yes, whatever, Andrew, if you want to say your last name.
Swiatowicz.
and Saretta Jones, who happens to have a normal name, Andrew, join me now to discuss this very important topic about dental care. And I'm so happy you could be here, Andrew. And this is a topic that we never talk about, so thank you. And thank you for coming, Saretta.
You're welcome.
So Andrew, let's talk about this. Why did you decide to get involved with this population of people? Now you do regular dental care, but you also work with this extended population.
Yes, our practice is a family practice, but one of the interests that I've had really for almost my entire career has been working with patients who have intellectual disabilities on varying levels, and that really first started in dental school, when we would have a clinic specifically dedicated to those patient populations within our dental school training. And it wasn't just patients with intellectual disabilities, it was patients who were medically compromised, severe dental phobias and anxieties. So really working on helping all of these patients overcome their fears or overcome any obstacles that they had to receiving dental care. And we were taught that, I want to say at an early age, in our dental career at least, so that we could feel comfortable in offering those services. So it was great to have that throughout school, and it's something that I continued through my residency in Christiana Care Health System at Wilmington Hospital, and then also in my professional career working with a variety of organizations, including things like Practice Without Pressure, and then transferring it into my own practice philosophy. So
let me ask you, I guess, how do you listen, I've had extensive dental work done, and it is not pretty, and I get upset. But now how do you, tell him to pipe down over there. Just look over there, Andrew, and just say, pipe down, Paul.
Pipe down, Paul.
Thank you. I mean, sometimes you have to get him in check. But for me, it is an issue. So I can imagine that somebody who has a phobia or who might have some kind of disability or does have a compromised system, it can be even a bigger issue. So how do you work to kind of alleviate the fear and just work through the different issues that you need to address?
Sure. Well, the first thing is really creating a comforting and a non-confrontational environment. The mouth is an intimate place. You can't see what I'm doing as I'm going to the last thing you may see is, unfortunately, a needle or a mirror. They're all this big.
They all are.
Very small. But it's a very, very intimate thing to experience. So we want to create an environment first that's just relaxing. If there are some appointments that I have where we don't do anything, that's fine. But if the patient is feeling comfortable, that's an important step for us. And going from there, we make kind of those decisions on what the next course will be. If maybe we try doing a real small, simple procedure to start with the patients, or if we say, you have a lot of work that needs to be done here, it may be best to take you to a surgery center and get that work done under sedation. So it's not only a easier way for the patient to get that done, but it's safe for the patient, for myself, for the assistants, and it allows us then to provide the best work possible for them, because we certainly don't want to say, oh, well, we'll try it here and not have the best scenario for them and then have to redo work in the future. We don't want to have to do that, especially to patients who may be medically compromised, fearful, intellectual disabilities. We don't want to have to put them through that anxiety that they may experience again with it.
Oh, I so love you. And you brought Saretta. Now Saretta is a patient. Hi, Saretta.
Hi, how are you?
And I love Sarita's necklace, and Saretta has been great,
Sarita's more put together than I am.
Listen,
so I love
me
it.
too. I'm ready to borrow her jewelry. I'm like, Saretta, can you leave that here for me? No. Saretta, so you go to Dr. Andy. So let's ask you, how's your experience been?
My experience was great, and it was the first time going to Dr. Swiatowicz's office. It's a great experience. Just like the people was nice, they're very professional, and he'll work with you to help make sure your teeth, to check with your teeth, your x-ray, and how you feeling, and things like that. But I really like going there because it makes me be more comfortable, more calm, and less nervous. So and they have a TV. I said, wow, a television?
Make sure he's turned it to channel 22 in the city, though.
We only have channel 22 on at the office. Nothing but.
But good, Saretta. I'm glad. So, you know, what would you tell folks about your dental visits? You know, working with Dr. Andy and the staff, you know, going to the office, you said you feel really relaxed and calm. And, you know, I guess you are just looking forward to your dental checkups.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure you like to hear that, Dr.
Oh,
Andy.
yeah, it's nice every now and then for somebody to say they don't fear me and that they have nightmares about me. So it's really great to have that. It's a good confidence booster. We don't get many Christmas cards around the holidays, so if you can get any, that was an acceptable appointment. Right. That's a great experience. But Saretta had, I had talked with Angie McCoskey, who's a patient and works with Saretta also, and she sent me this great email, and the compliments coming from I made my day. And
well, she's a happy young lady.
It's great working with all of our patients, but the ones who really help to see what we're doing for them and work with us to provide great care are. It's a rewarding experience. It's really great. So and I love when Saretta comes.
Listen, I love Saretta. She can come back anytime. Yeah. And we were talking earlier. I think people need to realize, you know, poor dental health is a direct link to other issues that you will have. And then I guess I got like a two-pronged one, so you can take that one first. Yep. And then I want to know, you know, people need to be aware that there are things out there that could possibly help them. They just need to do a little homework, maybe go through the Delaware Health and Social Services Department.
Yes, yeah. To address the first part there, more and more research is coming out to show the link between your mouth and your oral health and the rest of your body. And it's always funny when they tell you that, oh, well, no, that's not covered because that's your mouth.
Right.
Well, your mouth is on part of you.
Yes.
So it's part of your health. And the more we're seeing with the research are the links and correlations between periodontal disease, bone and gum disease, with your heart health, with diabetes. There are even studies showing now with links to degenerative neurological disorders like Alzheimer's. So we really try at our practice to stay on top of all that research and help to educate the patients on how the health of your mouth affects the health of your body, because we certainly don't want to have those negative impacts of the body because, oh, well, my dentist never told me that that could happen. So we work very hard to try to tell our patients about that and educate them. But with many of the populations that we work with too, they don't know that they have this access or ability to receive dental care, because Saretta is a awesome patient to work on. She's very easy. I mean, she's probably easier to work on as a patient than I don't.
Listen.
Haven't been in there yet,
So
but
you haven't been in
it's
there, you will
definitely
be.
easier than me. I'm a big baby when it comes to dental work. But unfortunately, a lot of patients who may have intellectual disabilities, their family members, their caregivers may feel at a wit's end because some dentists may not have been trained, and it's certainly at no fault to other dentists who may not feel as comfortable treating this population, because it's a comfort thing for the dentist, and you need that proper training to be able to provide the best care for them. But there are many dentists in the state of Delaware who can help that patient population, and one of the things that we can do too, if there's someone who unfortunately can't have that work done in an office setting, is we have the ability to take them to the surgery center right here in downtown Wilmington in a calm environment to, again, give them the best dental work that we can do for them in the best and most optimal conditions. So we restore that health. And there are definitely ways to look into that. Like you said, the Department of Health and Social Services, if you I believe type in oral care on their main page.
And we have that up, Paul, right?
Beautiful.
They can type in oral care.
And you'll be able to find some information and access to that, to those services that these patients do need, because we certainly don't want to let patients fall through the cracks. We want to be able to help them get that baseline level of oral health.
And also, before you go, Dr. Andy, Paul, do we have up the autism walk? And then what was that? We have the autism walk.
Autism walk is this Saturday.
Is it this Saturday?
Yes, they did the one down in Lewis last week, and I believe, I hope I'm not saying it wrong, Rockford Park is where it is this year, but it's in Fox Point Park. It's a park, and it's going to be a beautiful day for it, but it's a great event out there. We'll have a table set up if there are any prospective patients or current patients who need any information, and we're excited to get out there.
Oh, I'm so glad you came, Dr. Andy.
No,
and Saretta, any last words before we go?
I just wanted to know that the show is beautiful. It's my first time being on the TV for the first time. Yay!
Did you hear that? She said the show is beautiful and she liked it. You come back anytime.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Andy, we'll see you again.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Up next, the Delaware Fund for Women when we return.
Thank you for calling your GED Pep Talk Center. All right, now, are you ready for your GED Pep Talk?
Being nervous is okay. It just shows that you're serious about getting your diploma.
A lot of things are scary. Heck, I'm scared of clowns.
No quiero oír. Danny, no lo puedo hacer.
DMC, life in your pep talk style.
Just keeping it real, Debs, just keeping it real.
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Since 1993, the Fund for Women has been making a difference in the lives of women and girls in Delaware. As a founder, you can make a greater impact through the power of collective giving. Kay Keenan and Kim Cawley, hey Kim, are here now to talk to us all about the fund and how you guys are doing.
Oh, we're doing great.
Yay.
We're doing great because we get to give away money, which is the best part of the Fund for Women.
Money.
It's our best time.
Are you guys going to drop out of the ceiling now? You're going to give me some?
No.
Yeah,
that
like
would
confetti.
be great. You have to be your own 501c3. So you have to be. So sorry, you don't qualify, and you had to ask for it in January. But May 14th.
May 14th. Is it May 14th?
Yeah, May 14th. We will be giving to 13 different organizations about $140,000, a little more than $140,000. So it's really an exciting time. But even neater is we will have given away $2.1 million to women and girls agencies in Delaware.
I think that's great, and something that a lot of people need to know that you guys are doing. It does make a life and a difference of girls and women.
It does.
You're helping women starting businesses, you're helping these girls be exposed to things.
And we're helping the organizations who are going out of their way to make sure that women and girls have the resources that they need as well.
Yeah.
Great point, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one of the organizations getting money this year from us is receiving a grant is the Girl Scouts, and one of their programs is called Smart Cookie, which I just think is so cute. I just love it. We've just finished cookie season, and so it's like, okay, Smart Cookie, and it's teaching, I think, brownies and like their juniors about wise money management.
Now that is smart.
And
that's a good one.
Based on your earlier speakers today, we know it's important for women to learn about money management, but the thought of teaching girls those concepts is just awesome.
Never too early.
Never too early, especially at that age.
Yeah, right. So let me ask you now, with Smart Cookie, with that one, I do like how they're selected, but how do you generally go about selecting the people that are the recipients?
Well, it's highly competitive. We had over 70 organizations apply this year. And they write a short grant proposal, and we're looking for a couple criteria. One is it truly serving women and girls in Delaware? We look for it to both be statewide, and then we look for programs in each county. Then we look at, are they collaborating with other organizations? We really like programs where multiple groups get together to work together because we don't have a lot of dollars. And if we can serve people, and then how many women or girls will be impacted by the grant? And is it a rational number? I mean, sometimes people say they're going to serve 10,000 women in Delaware, and it's like, for $1,500, how are you going to do that?
Correct. Right. Yeah, that does sound like, yeah, right. Doesn't even, do the math.
And the neat part of the process is after we receive the applications, a group of about 25 women each read the application. So think about 70 applications read, and 25 women then rank them. And then based on the ranking, we compare them and have great discussions about who should get the grants. But the neat part is with 25 women, each reading and each evaluating them, you get a really cross section of what people think and know.
Right. Can you tell us about some of the, and I know while you would like to give money to everybody, you can't.
Almost everybody.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you see during the evaluation process? A lot of people come up with great ideas and ways they can help. What are some of the ideas that people don't know about that are in the pipeline somewhere?
Well, one that we did fund is called Family Promise of Newcastle County. And they do a very interesting program where they provide, using a church network, housing for homeless families so that an entire family is kept together and housed at a church. And they rotate, and they have a day center, they have day programs also. But they were finding that their next need is they work really hard to get these people out of the church home where they're temporary housing into real homes. Well, they didn't have any place to store furniture, so people would donate furniture to them, and then they didn't have any way to move it. So we're helping fund a truck and a storage unit. And it's like, well, of course you need that. If you think about any of us moving and collecting things, and some of us were really fortunate. Our parents gave us things, but when we took it from our parents' home, we still needed
a
truck to get it there. And so, here Family Promise came in, and I'm reading this, and it's like, I actually was crying when I was reading that one because I thought to myself, gee, I never even thought.
Can I tell you, neither have I. I never thought about that.
But that's what a lot of these organizations, they do these things kind of outside of the box, I guess you want to say, where it is needed, especially.
Another one following up on our dentist that was just so much fun that was in the last segment. It was great. But I can't say his name. But
neither.
Similar to what he was talking about, through Friendship House, we are funding for women to get cosmetic dental work done. Medicaid doesn't pay for that. And if a woman has had a drug addiction, been homeless, there's a high likelihood her teeth have suffered. And people won't hire you to be a waitress or a receptionist or any.
One of the first things you see when you go in for a job
is your teeth. And I had the neatest experience in January or December. I was talking to a woman who was telling me about her supervisory job and how well she was doing. And we started talking about the Fund for Women, because you guys know I pitch it all the time.
Listen, I think you do a good job.
Thank you. So I'm pitching to her because she's clearly in a supervisory job of construction workers. And I'm telling her about the Fund for Women. She said, well, tell me like something you do that's good. So I was telling her about it, and she started to smile. And she was smiling. And the more she smiled, I thought, why is she smiling at me like that? And then she said she had benefited from our program.
No.
Yes. So here's a woman now probably making $40,000 or $50,000 that wouldn't have been able probably to get through the system.
Did she know she had benefited from your program before?
No.
So she figured it out as you were talking?
Out. And whether it was directly our grant, but somebody had helped her get subsidized dental care.
Wow.
Isn't that neat?
Yes, it is, and very important.
Gave me goosebumps.
Gave me goosebumps too, because we all know dental care is really expensive, and it cracks me up when you go to the dentist. They're like, well, it's not covered by insurance, that's cosmetic. I'm like, really? It's in the front of my mouth.
Exactly.
Yep.
How could that not be cosmetic?
It's more than just cosmetic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it helps your self-esteem. It's everything about us. Because as you said, it's one of the first things people see about us.
Yeah, first thing, looking right at your teeth all the time. So yeah, that's definitely a good one. I love that one. So I'm glad you guys are doing that. So now the process is already done, because that was in January. So now it's the awards and grants program. So let's talk about that, where it's going to be. Can anybody come?
Oh, absolutely. We would love to have you. The registration is open.
On our website. You can go to register for tickets. It's May 14th at the Duncan Center in Dover. We also, not only do we give away the grants at that ceremony, but we also recognize a driving force awardee or honoree. And this year it's Lynn Kochjohn. Go ahead, from Sussex County.
From Sussex County. So not from Wilmington.
That's okay. Listen,
Yes.
I mean, we're spreading the love.
But
Absolutely.
good. Well, Lynn,
Yeah.
Lynn actually has lived in northern, or lived in Newcastle County, but she's been awesome. She has really grown the Delaware Fund for Women in Sussex County, and so we're recognizing her for that.
And you should.
Absolutely. You know, we're a statewide organization. We pride ourselves on being statewide, and Lynn has just been driving us to do more. They just had an event down there. They had a fashion show, and they got 24 new founders.
Go ahead, Lynn. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that gives us a little more than 1,400 founders, which is really exciting because, you know, it's a $200 a year for 5 years to become a founder. So the more money we have, the more we can give away.
All right. And you know what, Lynn? I'm happy. I don't care if she wasn't from Wilmington, whatever. She's doing something for the fund for women, and it impacts girls and women in the state of Delaware. So go, Lynn.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Go, Lynn. And you know what? If anybody wants to talk to either one of you ladies or find out more about the fund, what should they do?
Probably go to the website.
Go to the website.
And
Okay.
you always do it better than I do.
So her website is www.delcf.org/FFW, Fund for Women. We're also on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter.
Thanks to Kimberly.
So they can,
Thank you, Kim.
everyone can keep up with us and get tickets to our May 14th ceremony. And we have more events lined up for the year.
We have our Firefly Garden Party. I think this is cute. In June. It's the night before Firefly starts. So we decided we would call it a Firefly Garden
And that's
Party.
a good idea. I like that.
But that's a Newcastle County event that'll be held in Greenville, and the information will again be on the website, and we'd love to have anybody that wants to learn more about the Fund for Women join us there.
I'm just going to give you guys a round of applause. You give them a round of applause too? Come on, everybody in here clap.
We can clap for
together
ourselves.
for Delaware Fund for Women. That's right. That's right. And you got is that a fist pump? That's a woo-woo. I don't know. I'm confused. Whatever. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
It's great having you.
It's wonderful. And thanks for your support for the Delaware Fund for Women.
Love you guys. Thanks. Doing great things. Great. All right. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc. is up next when we return.
Maddie. Congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow. I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money going to come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
I want my Ed TV.
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 Now.
I want my Ed TV.
I want my Ed TV.
Yes.
What am I going to have?
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc. Wilmington, Delaware alumni, has a chapter. They have the Delaware chapter, and they're all about empowering the community. Sarah Harrison and Linda Thomas join me now with information on the Holistic Health and Wellness Empowerment Summit for women and girls. And you know, I think we got a theme. We just had Delaware Fund for Women, who works to empower women and girls, and now you ladies come on with a summit that works to do the same thing. And I think it's a very important issue, and let's thank the Deltas.
Thank you.
That's right, for doing their thing and empowering people. So let's talk about the summit. So when is it and what's it about?
Thank you very much, Shannon, for having us. The summit is going to be on May 2nd, 2015, of course. Yes, it is a Saturday, starting at 8:30 with screenings, a nutritious breakfast, and lots of exhibitors offering their services and educational materials. We are going to be there until about 2 o'clock. We have empowerment workshops that are led by physicians and other health professionals. We also have a separate track of empowerment workshops for the girls, 11 to 17. So they will feel comfortable with sharing among themselves. As you've already mentioned, it's holistic in that we're focused on mind, body, and spirit. So we have emotional health, because many of us think that the stress that we are challenged with every day, we don't realize that's a part of mental health. That the anger that we might show, that's mental health.
You need to say that more often.
And the spiritual health, and how important spiritual health and emotional health is, because it's so connected to our physical health. So we will be able to demonstrate that. We would love to remove the stigma from the community around mental health.
You know, and that is such a, listen, thank you for saying that. I don't understand why, I will say, folks of color don't really want to address mental health issues. And I think this forum will probably be an easier way, and maybe, I hope you do lift that stigma. It is.
Yes, and we think we, have found ways to start doing that. The people that we use for the emotional and mental health component, the African American women, they know what women think, they know the culture, and they know how to chip away from that. Because it's going to take the women, everybody know that if you save a woman, you save a family and a community. So if we can empower our women and even our young girls, we will have a healthier future.
Right.
Delaware is one of the sickest states in the nation, believe it or not.
I didn't know that.
Little old Delaware has one of the highest prevalence of diabetes. It has one of the highest prevalence of infant mortality, where our children are dying in the first year of their lives. That's unacceptable.
Shocked.
So, and many other things, deaths from heart disease, and deaths from cancers and other diseases, many of which are preventable. So we are focused on prevention. We're focused on, if you already have a disease, manage it and take care of it. We're having a fabulous educational fashion show where survivors and physicians are the models.
Oh, that's good.
And it's wonderful because, trust me, the survivor's story, even though they don't tell it, it's moderated by Miss Delaware, USA. So that's
Miss
wonderful
Delaware,
too. We're excited about that.
Yeah, we know Miss Delaware.
We know we only have a little bit more. Let me just throw one quick thing out about Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Wilmington Alumni Chapter. We are focused in 5 social action community areas: education, physical and mental health, economic development, social action, and international awareness. We are in this community across Newcastle County, and we want to do everything we possibly can to help improve the quality of life and the empowering our sisters. Our journey to wellness is just one way, and we do these things year long.
Let me ask you, how can the community help support you guys? What can we do?
Linda?
Well, we have many programs that we go across the year. Delta Outreach and Education Center, of which I'm the president, but I'm also a Delta, is an outreach program organization that was founded by the Wilmington Alumni Chapter to provide additional outreach in the community. So the girls track is one of the things that the DOEC is focusing on, because our mission is to provide education and health and social and cultural awareness to primarily young adolescent women. So we're working on the girls track, and Miss Delaware will be speaking with our young ladies in the girls track. We call it the Journey to Womanhood. And we'll be talking about our bodies, nutrition, doing some active Bakwa.
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
name
listen,
of the,
gotta get active in there, right.
Yeah, Bakwa is a new form of exercise. And
I have
also,
to see that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting. And then also having some good decision making, how
Right.
your mind, body, and spirit helps you in making your decisions. And they also will be a couple of young ladies who will be participating in the fashion show, so they can see people who look like them as well.
yeah.
We want them to feel a part of this. But also we have a Jabberwock program that DOEC partners with the Wilmington Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and it's working with junior and high school girls through personal development and a scholarship at the culminating activity. And since 2000, we've given over $600,000 in scholarships.
Way to go.
And one of the
Proud of you ladies.
fundraisers for our Jabberwock program is a prayer breakfast, which will be held on May the 23rd at the Chase Center, and it's $50. And we ask everyone to come out and support, because that money does go to scholarships for these young ladies.
A great cause.
And our speaker is Cynthia Butler McIntyre, who's an awesome woman of God, and you won't be disappointed if you come out to hear her.
Well, I want everybody to come out. I want everybody to come out to the summit. And let's tell everybody again, summit is free. And when is it again? Go ahead, let's roll it out there.
Okay, one last time, we're looking for all of you guys to come out to the summit. It's free. You have breakfast, lunch, wonderful prizes. I mean, wonderful prizes.
And what's the great exercise you said? What is it again, Sarah?
Well, come on, do the Bakwa.
Bakwa?
Yes, we'll do a little Zumba in between.
Okay.
We're going to hear from the Department of Health and Human Services about the new transformation of health. So it's just going to be wonderful. You can get your screenings, and the fashion show will be our culminating activity. DOEC, just to let everybody know, is actually building a center right in Wilmington.
And you know what? We want you guys, now, we will have you back. We'll come back for that, because I think that's big, and we need to have some photos and talk about the progress. But we want everybody to remember that is going to be where?
The actual property is at 300 East 30th Street.
Okay.
So www.deltas,
Delaware Delta.
www.delawaredeltas.org. Register, Eventbrite. Thank you.
You got to love Sarah. Okay. You know, she got it out there. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us. You come back for that center, and we'll see you soon. Okay? For everybody here at WITN Channel 22, I'm Shannon Harris. We'll see you next time.